What's up, everybody? It's your favorite one-eyed Willie's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the X-Men Marvel Legends Wave Part 1 of 3, Cyclops, Polaris, and Sunfire. So let's just go ahead and get started. And Cyclops, the long-awaited Jim Lee-styled Cyclops, which does a few things right and a few things dreadfully wrong. But we'll talk about it. So the head sculpt, I'd say, is pretty much perfect. Like the hair, it's painted, it's washed, the silver is painted, there's red inside, we got a little spill over the red on the forehead, not a big deal. No wash on the face, that's easily fixed. Otherwise, looks good. Looks good on the peg for the most part, which is a ball hinge, yeah. Up to there, which looks crazy, but you can probably get to there and still looks good. And then down to there, which doesn't look as good, but you can pull it back a little bit down to there, still a good range. And then the swivel. So all that is pretty well done. Now, the rest of it is not so much. I'm kind of debating how to tackle this, but let's talk about this piece. So it's a floating piece, it pegs together in the back. It's a pretty good fit. But unfortunately, in order for it to sit quite right, it needs to be a little bit lower. It'd be nice if it sat up here, but this part doesn't quite fit right. It could have been sculpted, but it would have, it would have caused articulation issues and so forth. So I'm not mad at the way they did it. I'm just kind of mad at the way it ended up working out. Ab crunch just felt like two clicks forward, yeah, and then one click back. You got to adjust that as need be. It is washed, which is interesting. Yellow with a wash, and like the rest of it is just plain yellow, so I'm not sure why they did that. The gold is kind of painted sloppy on there. The black is painted sloppy on there. The red is done fairly well. For the shoulders, they are disc hinges, and they work pretty well. You get out to there. You get all the way around. It's kind of like on a ratcheted joint of sorts. I don't think it's really supposed to be one, but you know how it is with Marvel Legends. And then a bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, great range there. And then a wrist hip swivel and hinge, and the hinge is in out on both. And then it has these floating pieces on the wrist, which work fairly well on the wrist. Obviously, it would have been better had they been sculpted. But they're not, so just it is what it is. They work much better than this stuff down here, which we'll get to. Waist swivel works fine, even with this bit on, so that's cool. Yellow trunks, they're just cast in yellow. And now these things. So these are supposed to sit up here, or maybe even further down. They don't stay in one place. But you do get the T-jointed ball joints for hips that get you out to there and forward to there. Double jointed knee, thigh swivel, and then you have a shin swivel, and then you have this thing. And this is really obnoxious. It is very difficult for it to stay in place. It should have been sculpted, but at the very least it should have been glued. The ankles tilt up, tilt down, and rock, so that all works fine. It's just something that like had an awful lot of potential, and they just really truly took the lowest common denominator sort of approach in making it happen. And for a figure that's as kind of as anticipated and sort of sought after and wanted, I'm just not sure why they didn't go the extra length for this guy. I think that Cyclops deserves it, and I don't think that this does a great job of, it does an acceptable job, but I don't think it does a great job of kind of giving the character and especially this 90s very iconic representation sort of its just due. We have Polaris. She comes with these things, which we've seen 1,000 times now. We'll take them off. She also comes with this cape. It's a very soft plastic cape and pegs into her back and actually works fairly well, even though a cloth cape would probably be best. The greens don't match. I want to point that out right out of the way. and they should. I can't think of a reason why they would, because, see, this is that, no, that's green plastic. And that's green plastic. So, I'm not sure why they don't match. Anyway, the head, green hair with a nice wash on it, really well done. Great face sculpt. It's kind of a retool, I think, of another face that we've seen. Lips are painted well, eyebrows are painted well, the metallic paint around the crest on the forehead, all that stuff looks good. Metallic paint around the ponytail looks great. Ball hinge for a head, get you down to there, up to there. Kind of a swivel at an angle, but it still works. This is the smaller female buck, so you get the ball joint for the torso, but it still works fairly well. Disc hinge shoulders, get you all the way up to there. Hinge at the elbow, single hinge, but still a decent range with the swivel instead of the bicep swivel. And then we have this extra piece, which is a metallic green on top floating, and then the posy magical hands with the hinge in and out and swivel. Same for the other side. For the waist here, we have the skin tone painted on to the green, and it doesn't look terrible. It looks okay. It's a pretty, like, usually they screw that up, and it's not perfect, but it's pretty well done. Pretty well done indeed. T-jointed ball joints for hips get you out to there, forward to there, back to there. It is something weird that I noticed. I don't think, like, the seams in my hip joints are a little, like, they're not tight. You know, I've never seen that problem before. Thigh swivel, that's really tight also. I'm not going to mess with that. I think that's inviting disaster. There's something wrong there assembly-wise. And then a double-jointed knee with this darker green painted on that's done pretty well as well. Kudos. Ankle tilt, not much up, good bit down. And it should have a rocker. And it does, but it's ever so slight. Ever so slight. I mean, barely there. So that's a bit unfortunate. But, so not perfect. And of course she comes with these two. Did we already talk about these? That, you know, we've seen these 1,000 times. They're light green now. But a decent sculpt and fairly decent paint across the board. Just a few limitations in the figure itself. So we have Sunfire. He comes with these two accessories. They are yellow translucent plastic that sort of fades to orange and then to red, and they fit around his fist more often than not, but not perfectly. As for the figure itself, I like the head sculpt, like the mask and all this stuff looks good. The gold is painted well. There's a red paint layer around the orange, which looks good, and then the face sculpt. It looks good. Well done. Ball hinge head, get you up to there, down to there, and then the swivel, all that stuff works. Butterfly joint, really solid. We've seen this before, of course. Get your arms all the way back to there and all the way around to there. I love it. Want to see more of it. The paint for his torso is extremely well done for a Marvel Legends. A little carried away here, a little carried away there, but surprisingly, this paint is extremely well done. Much better than what I would have expected. Waist swivel with this piece hiding down, the floating belt piece, once again painted well. And then an ab crunch down to there, back to there. Shoulders are on disc hinges. You can get them up to there. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, wrist swivel, and hinge in out. Same for the other side. And the gold is painted on, and that also looks good. T-jointed ball joints for hips, get you out to there. Thigh swivel, double jointed elbow, knee, shin swivel, or calf swivel, and then ankle tilt down, up, rocks, gold paint, painted well. This is an extremely well done figure. Like, it's not flashy. I mean, the paint is, but you know, like, it's not over the top. It just does everything that it's supposed to do, and it does it quite well. So kudos to them for this one. Simple yet effective. So when we do the X-Men Marvel Legends, I like to do figure shelf collection vids instead of skits. So I'm going to do all my heroes and then my villains for my Marvel Legends. This is Thing, and then my Shield figures, my Avengers, pretty well fleshed out at this point. Then like my Avengers B team. My sort of proper X-Men team, pretty much done. Looking good. I might switch up, like put a couple different characters from my B team of X-Men over here, but pretty well fleshed out. Then my X-Men B team. So I have like sort of miscellaneous X-Men characters in the back, but so this is going to be X-Factor here. And then Excalibur and 90s roster. And then X-Force and New Mutants. And then I have Deadpool breaking the fourth wall. He knows he's on a shelf. Missing a few here.
By the way, I feel like Eddie Murphy in The Golden Child because I'm like walking across these stools to get to these shelves to video. And I feel like, I know you say there's no wall, there's no floor here, but there's a floor. There's a floor, Monty.
My Spider-Verse shelf. Looking good. My Cosmic shelf. With more comic style Guardians. And then I threw in my Inhumans for just kind of good measure. And lastly, my miscellaneous heroes. These were the Image characters that Marvel Legends Toy Biz did. That's McFarlane's Max. I just love that character. Defenders. Looks like I got an Iron Fist down. Iron Fist down. Iron Fist down. And little Puck action. Shout out to Tyler F. hooking me up with that. And Alpha Flight in the back. Final thoughts wise, I think the Sunfire is extremely well done. I think that the Cyclops head sculpt is great. I just think it deserved more than what it actually got. But if you get it, it will work. I do recommend you get it. I don't see them making another Jim Lee inspired Cyclops for some time, so you might as well get this one. You can probably make enough changes yourself to give it the look that you want with a little bit of glue or epoxy or something. So I do recommend it, but it's just a bummer that's the way it worked. And then Polaris is good. There's just a few weird limitations with her articulation, like the ankles aren't working properly, and then there's some color like mix matching that seems a little strange. But all in all, there's nothing bad enough here because X-Men are so rare and so hard to come by in the Marvel Legends series. There's nothing big enough or deal-breaking enough here to make me say don't get them. If you're an X-Men fan like I am, I'd say run out and get them. X-Men to me are my favorite Marvel kind of characters. I'm more of a DC guy than I am a Marvel guy, but when it comes to Marvel, I love the X-Men. I'm just not 100% crazy with stuff that's been going on in the books now. That being said, hope that helps in some capacity. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.